Hi, good evening and welcome to our today's session. So today we have Alfred Mathu on board and just a minute, I mute mine and check with him first.
Valen, I can't hear now.
I can hear you, so the audience can also hear
Valen,
you.
you can, eh?
Yes, yes.
Oh, now I can hear you.
So we start. I think we are already live.
Yes, I think we are good.
Okay.
Okay.
So welcome once again. This is Velin Obiero, and this is a platform by Lafford Teletherapy Counselors. Lafford Teletherapy Counselors are online counselors or counseling forum. We do also performance coaching and online, we do also counseling courses. I'm an educator and a counselor at Lafford Teletherapy Counselors. And today we have Alfred Mathu on board. We have several things he has to teach us about. The topic is already on the live. So, Alfred, you can just start and we'll lead by
Yeah,
what
thank you.
you
Thank you.
teach
Thank you,
us.
Valerie.
Thank you, too.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be here again with you this afternoon. I'm delighted to be in your midst. this hour to be talking to you about money matters, specifically looking at reasons why people become broke before the payday. My name is Alfred. Once again, I'm a financial doctor. I speak to people of all walks of life, young and old, rich and also not very rich, educated and also not very educated, because every one of us needs to be empowered in as far as financial planning is concerned. So before I can get into the topic, maybe for a lot of people who keep wondering what is this financial planning all about, all of us have got dreams, we've got financial aspirations. The only connection between those dreams and what we do with our money now lies in the planning. The planning is the main thing. How you're going to utilize your resources today to be able to accomplish your various goals will only be explained by what financial planning is about. All of us have got goals that are staggered from short term. We've got what we call the medium term goals, and we also have got the long term goals. In the short term space, we think about our money personality, whether we are spenders, whether we are dreamers, savers, or investors. We want to build cushion for emergency purposes and ensure that we do budgets. In the medium term space, we want to ensure that as we continue in our journey, we diversify the scope of our investments, do risk management, and ensure that we are adequately investing in terms of looking at the possible thresholds of funds that we are making that ought to be directed to investments. I speak about a formula of 50, 25, 25, and where 50% of the income you make should be good enough to help you achieve your needs. 25% is meant for meeting the wants, but there's a portion of 25% that remains. That is a portion that we are very, very, very keenly looking at, because it's the money that we're not supposed to spend. It's the money that we're supposed to push aside to build our short-term, medium, and long-term financial cushion. That is the only way we can ultimately be able to achieve our agenda. When I look at the statistics available, and especially for our country, Kenya, only 2% of people are financially healthy. The rest are jokers when it comes to financial matters. The rest have lost their way in as far as financial planning is concerned. And that also explains to us the reason why majority are getting to the finish line, and that is basically the retirement phase, where they are not, when they're having a lot of financial misfortunes. They're not able to meet their obligations. They're not able to maintain their lifestyles. All this can be explained by the fact that right from the beginning, people's behavior to money is not good. So this evening, I'm hoping that after going through our today's subject, we'll be able to improve in a way or the other and make ourselves to make at least a step towards the realization of our various agendas. So again, the topic is, what are the reasons why people become broke before the payday? What are the reasons that make people to get broke? Financial planning is a very, very important subject, and how you're going to deal with your money will determine who you are going to become ultimately. I've talked about a few staggered goals: the short term, the medium, and long term goals. It's a common issue. No matter how much you earn, you might still find yourself counting down to payday. The more you make in terms of your monthly income, the more will your expenses become. And realize that even when you are in the next level of earning, you still are struggling to be able to get yourself to 8 months without having some bit of liquidity that can still be able to take care of that last part of the obligations. By the end of this session, I hope that every one of us is going to set up some actionable steps that will help us improve our financial habits. Now, I will look at the various reasons why people are not able to make it to their payday with some liquidity. And the first one is not having clear budget. The purpose of a budget is to give you clarity of what is coming into your account and what is going out. You have to track your income, you have to track your expenses, and ensure that you keep charge, you keep control. Without a clear plan, you will definitely spend on things that are not intended. So what will be the solution for this? It is to ensure that you create a budget, make it as simple as possible, have the right level of discipline that will only allow yourself to spend on things that have actually been highlighted. in that particular budget. Your budget will comprise of the essentials, will also comprise of things that make your life comfortable. These are what the things that we call the wants. They are not mandatory, but of course, when you have them, they make your life comfortable. And then finally, you have a room now for the savings. Now, the moment you understand your budget, understand what is coming into your account, and then be able to live faithfully to the budget that you have written down, that will be the surest way of you going through the month without having liquidity issues. Unfortunately, a lot of people will go into what we call the impulse buying, impulse spending. Things that are not detailed in your budget, you still end up spending on them. And what that does is that it takes away funds that you potentially have taken into the end month. So I think for me, the first and most important thing is to ensure that you have a clearly written budget and you remain faithful to that budget. Spend only as per the provisions of that budget. Don't go beyond that budget. That's point number one. Want to look at the next reason why people don't get to the end month, at least with that liquidity. It is the impulse buying, especially on non-essentials. Buying things on a whim, especially when stressed or emotional. There are people who, when you are a bit, emotional, you are stressed of anything happening, even you're at your place of work, you get a bit emotionally drained. There are people who just go into spending. They go into drinking. Even money that was meant for such, you actually end up directing it into trying to deal with the emotions at that particular stage. This is common, and the reason for this is because a lot of people are not able to manage or contain their emotions. So the solution for this, it is good to have a 24-hour rule. And what is this 24-hour financial rule? It is where when you want to spend money on anything, please can you give yourself a whole 24 hours to interrogate that expense. Is it a necessary expense? Don't just spend because the money is in the account. Don't just spend because you feel like it is the right time to spend. Give yourself a whole timeline of about 24 hours within which you can interrogate that particular expense before you can actually literally go into spending. That is very, very important. So again, impulse buying. I see lots of people who go to supermarkets, and when they go to supermarkets, they know clearly what they wanted to buy. But you see people buying things that are completely unrelated with the intended shopping. So it is important from where I sit that if you have to spend, write down the things you have to spend your money on. Don't go beyond that. Ensure that you live faithfully to that budget that you have set. Then I want to go to the next point. It is over-reliance on credit cards and loans. We're going through times where a lot of lenders visit our institutions, they visit our offices, and they are giving unsecured facilities. The fact that these facilities are available at the doorstep does not mean that you should go for them. Do not go for a loan unless you have properly interrogated that loan, why you need it, is it going to leave you better than you currently are, what is the purpose of that money, how much do you need? Can you go through that phase first? Don't just go into spending because it's available. Don't go into swiping your card because it has got a limit. Credit can feel like free money most of the time, but the interesting thing is that it builds into liability. And as soon as you know, are literally in a debt. There are people who are actually struggling to survive. You're paying one debt and taking up the other. You're taking a debt now to pay the other one. You take a debt here to pay the next one. And there are people who continue going through these circles through all their life. I think for me, it is important to have credit limits that are well understood and only ensure that you spend this on things that are predetermined, the things that you've written down that I want to spend this money on doing this or achieving that. Don't just take loans because they are available. I see some people who even signing up for loan facilities from banks. It is when the money gets to your account that you start asking yourself, how do I need to spend this money? things keep surprising you. It is important that you can prepare yourself and have sufficient cushion. I always talk about an emergency fund with a threshold of 3 to 6 times of your monthly financial requirements. Try to build an emergency fund so that when you have such unexpected expenses, you will not have to take up a loan. You will not have to disturb colleagues or friends. You will get such funds from your emergency account. Again, as I said, an emergency account should have a threshold of 3 to 6 times of your monthly financial requirement. If in your household you require like 200,000 shillings every month, try to build an emergency fund of 3 times of that as a minimum, which will be 600, and a maximum of 6 times, which will be about 1.2 million shillings. That will be very, very important. So as you go about your day to day, it is important to know that there are some expenses that will come your way without any warning. You wake up one day and something has to be done and has to be done with urgency. Such are emergencies. You need to provide in your budget that an emergency fund is in place. And I think very, very, very importantly, when you think about emergency fund, you talk about a fund that is secured. You're talking about a fund that is accessible. You're talking about a fund that you can easily get whatever you need in liquid. That is very, very important. Liquidity and accessibility. Don't go into an emergency fund, which when an emergency comes up, you are being given a week or 2 weeks before you can get the money. You need to be able to access this money with the shortest turnaround time so that you can be able to address that particular expense. Let's talk about what happens to people when there's a salary rise, when your income goes up. For a lot of people, any extra income means you review your expenses upwards. But a prudent investor will not do it that way. When your income goes up, you review your investments. So increasing expenses with income could be one of the reasons why a lot of people are not able to make it to the end month with liquidity. As your income increases, so do your expenses. We start buying bigger houses, we start buying bigger cars, we start buying better cars, we start going for a more expensive lifestyles, and to manage your cash. The solution for this, again, as I said, 24-hour rule on spending. Do not spend on anything until you've given yourself enough time to think through that expense before you can actually spend on it. 24 hours is just good enough. You have thought through, do I really need to use this cash for this kind of expense? Within the 24 hours, you should have justified or dropped that particular expense. Then, how do you then avoid being broke before the payday? For me, the one and the most important one is to create a budget that will help you track your expenses. Have a budget, and we are told that only about 3% of Kenyans that are earning, only about 3% operate with a budget. And you'll be very surprised that even those that have budgets, not all of them are able to faithfully live by the spirit of that budget. So the moment you agree to writing a budget and live by its spirit, when it comes to spending, you can be sure that that will be one of the ways of dealing with cash flow crisis. The other one, control or avoid completely what you can call impulse buying. Control or eradicate completely impulse buying. And I've talked about the 24-hour spending rule, that when an expense comes up, you need to take some bit of time to interrogate that expense. And within 24 hours, you should actually have made a clear decision whether that's a necessary expense or not. Don't just jump into spending. You're borrowing money, you're swiping your card, you're asking people to send you money, and then that becomes a debt. That point is limit your reliance on credit money. I've talked about the credit cards, I talked about loans. Limit your reliance on that. When your money comes in, try to meet all your obligations. I always say that if you have a budget that is already written down and you are living faithfully by it, when your money hits the bank, you will start writing the checks where you need to write checks, doing the M-Pesa payments or swiping your credit cards, your debit card to pay off for the expenses that are already in your budget. Don't let your money stay in the account, for you to start thinking how you're going to spend it. Have the budget first, so that when the money comes, you actually direct the payments to the various expenses that are in your budget. The other one is building that emergency fund. I said that is very, very important, and avoiding unplanned expenses. And if they come your way, use the emergency fund to be able to meet such expenses. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, you do not have structured emergency fund accounts. You cannot have your friends being your emergency account. Your friend can never be your emergency option. The emergency fund needs to be a separate option which you can actually be able to access when the need comes up. Don't start calling people in the night. Don't start calling people during your working hours. Don't start calling your relatives. Have a structured emergency fund account. And I've given the threshold. I think that is very, very important. It's also important that you can look at your lifestyle. Realize that the cost of living is going up. So given that some of the circumstances are beyond your control, how do you organize your spending to not only be able to meet the essentials, but also have some bit of room for the wants in your budget? It is important that you can look at your lifestyle. Some of the lifestyle that we try to have in life, they are purely for show off. Are they necessary? At times we are going out of our way to spend money which you don't have to please people who don't care. And then you end up in debt. It is important that you can be in charge of our lifestyles. It is important that you can be in charge of our budgets. It is important that you can be in charge of our money. That for me is what is going to take you to the destiny that you want in as far as financial planning is concerned. Remember, there are some monsters that are on our way. When it comes to financial planning, one of the biggest monsters that comes our way is procrastination. People keep postponing good goals. You keep saying that, I want to start this, but I will start next month. I'll start next year. I'll start next year, but one. People keep giving it themselves excuses. They keep changing the goalpost. I think it is important that you can become a bit clear and realize that our tomorrow circumstances could change. Today you have good health, but you're never sure of tomorrow. And because you're never sure of these things, can you take the early opportunity today and ensure that you do what you need to do? Stop being a procrastinator. Because a procrastinator, by the time they are making a sensible decision, they have already learned out of the opportunity. The other thing I want to talk about is that it's also very, very, very important, very, very, very important to ensure that I've seen people who make careless mistakes of lending our own money that is meant for our essentials. We end up giving it to our friends, we end up giving it to our family members, hoping that they're going to pay back. Let me tell you what, the work of lending is not your work. Leave that one to the bank, leave that to the Sherlock, leave that to the microfinances. Please, if your friends come your way and they want to borrow money, take them to a bank manager. Let them borrow from the financial institutions. You are not in the business of lending. Because what happens, what I've witnessed is that lots of people have gone out of their way to give other friends their financial support and hoping that the money is going to be paid back at the right time. People don't pay debts. People will disappoint you. They will not pay back. And that is going to affect how you are going to operate your financially, given that now you've been strained by the fact that some money has run out of your account on the ground of supporting somebody. Please, that is something we need to run away from. Ensure that you keep to your lane. When people are borrowing and they have to borrow from you, only give the amount you are willing to lose. If you think it's money that is going to affect you, financially, don't give it out. I'll talk about the other thing. A lot of people are having unbalanced financial equations. In your financial equation, we got the solid assets and we got the liquid assets. Can you balance the two? Don't put all that you have, your resources in solid assets, because there will come a time you need to access a bit of liquidity. I've seen lots of people that have been going into buying land, and they direct most of what they have into buying land. That's not a bad instrument to invest in, but the problem is when you need cash. Selling off a piece of land, you may not need to have a buyer, and when the buyer finally shows up, may show up when the need has already overwhelmed you. So it is important that you can try to balance the equation. When you are doing your financial planning, what portion of my resources need to be in a liquid form? In which case, you can direct such monies in money market. You can direct such monies in private accounts, private bonds. You can direct such into what you call the infrastructure bonds. You can direct that into what we call the fixed deposits, the liquid option. What needs to be the solid now can go into the real estate. You can buy that, you can build properties. That's okay. But try to balance it out. I'm seeing lots of people today at old age who are stressed, who are in a state of duress, because they are trying to access liquidity at a time when people are not buying properties. It is important that you can try to balance out your situation at the right time. The other thing, please, if you think that there are some risks that you cannot be able to manage, push such risks to insurance companies. For example, risk of illness. Don't wait until such a time when you get sick. That's the time you are trying to access funds from some of your investments to pay off bills. Take a medical insurance. It will give you a lot of peace of mind. It will be able to give you security whenever this is needed. But for a lot of people, what they do is that you carelessly handle your financial obligations and not even factor in the medical requirements. And when you get sick, all that you have put together over the years is depleted by only one illness. So it is important that you can start becoming more and more deliberate on financial matters. I think, ladies and gentlemen, for me, it's just to enlighten you that it's all not lost. It's a chance for us to make clarity, but it starts in the mind. The moment you tell yourself that I want to make a difference, you write a budget and decide from now on I'm going to be disciplined. I'm not just going to be spending. I'll spend, yes, but also create provision for investments. That is surely what is going to get you to success level. Because financial matters are becoming increasingly of concern because more and more people are disorganized financially. We see a lot of over-reliance on the children. That you've taken care of your children, you've taken them to school, but then at old age, you're hoping that these children are the ones going to take care of you. It doesn't always happen. It is important that we can start becoming more purposeful in building our own reserves, building our own security, so that when the time comes, you do not have to borrow anything from your children. You have empowered them, let them take care of themselves, let them take care of their families. You are already financially independent. This, for me, is what makes people to actually be able to move to the next level. We always say that no one wakes up to fail. People only fail to plan. So I want to thank you once again for the opportunity to speak to you about a few tips on how you can be able to reduce your cash crisis month on month and to be able to live through the month with a bit of liquidity to be able to achieve all your goals and aspirations. Surely that is what is going to make us financially well. I want to leave it at that point, and I want to thank you, Varen, for giving me the opportunity. And I'm available even to give people a one-on-one session to be able to empower them in making decisions, building a budget, and ensure that what ought to be put in investment is directed into an investment program. What needs to go into building emergency fund, the same is directed to emergency fund. Once again, I say a big thank you for the opportunity,
Alfred,
and we continue to learn on money matters.
Alfred, there is a
Yeah.
question.
Okay.
On the comment section, someone has asked a question, and there are two questions.
Okay.
One, what should an individual do when one has bad financial discipline?
Very good question. I think for me, almost all of us at some stage of life, we had some, financial indiscipline at some stage. But the moment you make a decision and realize that the path that I've been taking is not the correct path, I need an overhaul, and you are willing to learn, you are willing to be guided, you are willing to be shown how to do things better, that alone inspires the next decision. You will start off by building a budget, we start helping you clear all the operations that you have. These are the works that people like myself would help you to go through to be able to become financially well. I'm a financial coach, a financial expert, and if anyone could be able to reach out to me, we have a one-on-one session. I'll be able to guide you. First of all, I'll take some time to understand exactly where you are on your financial journey. I'll be able to understand the obligations, the risks that you're exposed to. I'll be able to look at your short-term and medium-term as well as long-term financial aspirations. And I'll be able to create a roadmap for you. And we agree on a monthly basis, this is what we need to be doing. This is how we are going to be tracking it on a yearly basis. This is the kind of reviews that we are going to be doing every 1 or every 2 years. And that for me is actually going to be part of your turnaround. So such a person who is in such a dilemma right now, don't worry, it's all not lost. Feel free to reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Let me understand your situation holistically, and I'll be able to offer a solution and a remedy that will actually help us to start slowly moving out of that situation and ensure that we create, cushion for our future, deal with the debts, deal with the obligations, so that tomorrow we can be financially more better than we are today. I'm sure, Varel, you have already shared my mobile number here, and you got it wrong. My number is not
currently.
You got my number wrong, Varel. My number is ending with 584, not 583. 0722 310 584.
Can
0722 310 584.
310
310
5
584.
8
84.
4. Oh,
4. The
I
last
just
number is
missed
4,
the
not a 3.
number.
So just change it so that
Okay.
those that may want to have a session with me or want to reach out, that they have the correct number. 0722
Sorry for that.
310 584. That's okay. That's in order. That's very, very,
The
very much in order.
second question was, that's the number.
Yeah,
The
correct.
second question was, how can one leverage if the expenses is more than what they earn?
I've talked about the budget formula. And the most solid budget formula that we have is 50, 25, 25. 50, 25, 25, where 50% of your income should be enough to meet your needs. 25% is the loan you give yourself for things that make you and your family comfortable. For example, driving a car, you have to fuel it, you need insurance for it. Once in a while, you might want to eat out with your family. Once in a while, you want to drive out of town to go for a short holiday out of town, etc. So that element of 25% is only to make you comfortable. But the 25% that remains is only meant for investments and creating your financial cushion. Now, you know that you're in trouble if you are spending more than 50% of your income on needs. If you're spending more than 50% of your income on needs, then you are surely in trouble. Because what that now does is that it starts eating to the next element of the 25% that was supposed to give you that cushion and comfort as a family and even as an individual to be able to enjoy those other things in life. Okay, like for example, having internet in your house, having good clothes, having a good car, such or eating out maybe once in a while. You start eating to that element, and when you eat into that element, it will mean that now that portion, the second portion, will start eating to that portion. For a lot of people, you make 100,000 and spend all of it. For others, you make 200,000, spend all of it. Of course, I see even categories of people that make 1 million, but they're spending way equal or above the million shillings. In fact, the greatest trouble for a lot of people is that they're spending more than they make. We have to ensure that we are not in that kind of a space, that we are spending more than we make. That's a very, very tragic place to be. But then narrowing it down, be guided by that formula that 25% of your income is for creating financial cushion. Do not let yourself spend more than 50% of your income on needs. And if you find yourself in such an environment, it means that you're living above your means. Maybe where you are paying rent is not where you belong. Let's look at what happened during COVID. There are people who lived in Kiresua, others lived in Riverside, others lived in Westlands. But during COVID, the reality check happened on them. That someone that lived in Westlands found out that the best place was Royal. That's where they could afford. So Westlands was a mistake. So if you find yourself in an environment where more than 50% of your income is going into needs, then you're in the wrong environment. You need to review on spending on those essentials. What is it that you are doing? What are those essentials that you're spending on, which you ought to be dropping? Is it that rent is mandatory, but must you live in Westlands if your income can allow you? Must you live in Ravington if your income only allows Dono? Must you drive a Prado if your income only allows for Vitz? Those are things that you start now balancing out. Because do not overstretch. Because the moment you allow yourself to overstretch, you start eating into other options, which will ultimately make you very financially unaware. So for me, if you spend more than 50% on needs, then you are living above means. Review it. And I'll help that person to sit down and review. If you're not investing at least 25%, then you are on a roadmap to failure. 25% of your income should be for investments and savings. So if you're earning 100,000 shillings, let's say your net pay is 100,000 and you're spending 10,000, you can be sure you're not succeeding. Financially, you are failing. Because 100,000 shillings should direct you to 25,000 shillings investment and saving. So if you are saving or investing 10,000, you are failing. You are actually not doing justice to your money. The problem with money is that you do justice to it, it will do injustice to you in multiples.
Another thing, I've 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 not yet written down all of it. I was
Yeah.
trying to write down It's 50, 25, 25. 25 for investment, and then the other 25
Okay. 50% is on your needs.
needs.
25% is on your wants. Wants.
One.
Wants are those things that are not a must, but when you do them, they make you comfortable. For example, you could choose to come to town by walking. You can also choose to come to town via a matatu. You can also choose to come to town via an Uber. You can also choose to come to town via your own means, your own car. All those means are to get you to town, but they all have a different, budget. So those things that make you comfortable. For example, driving your own car to town makes you comfortable. Do not let yourself spend more than 25% of your income on those things that are making you comfortable. Between you and me, Bareli, eating at Java is good. But if you start spending more than 25% of your income on eating at Java and KFC, you're headed to failure. There are instances you have to carry food from the house. There are instances you will avoid going to Java, maybe go to a cheaper restaurant. So don't spend more than 25% of your money. No, the 25% is not needs. Let me repeat. I want to get it correctly. 50% is needs, 25% is wants. 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 And then the 25% is on savings and investment. Savings and investment. I am saying savings deliberately because there's also the element of emergency. There's the element of of putting money that you can easily access from what you can call the money market. So the 50% on needs, 25% on wants, and then the remaining 25% on savings and investment. I hope it's clear now.
Yeah.
Okay.
25% wants, and then 25%
savings and investments.
savings and investment.
Yes.
Before you leave, let me check on the email
Yes.
if there are more questions so that we can handle whatever it has been placed for us to.
That's in order.
So it's this way. 50 wants, 25, 50 needs, 25 wants, 25
Very
savings
true.
and investment.
Two.
I think the first one is a bit more private, so I might share the question because I won't dwell with the
You can
name.
share with me, then I can
They are
respond directly
saying
to the person.
there's so much in debt that they receive peanuts at the end month.
Yes.
So they're trying to find a way they can get out of it.
Okay.
And the other one is saying they will need your number, so I will send your number privately.
Given the number there.
It's already on the chat.
It's good. Yes.
And what advice can you give us before you leave?
I think for me, the most important thing is that money matters are very personal and they are very, one needs to take personal responsibility. You cannot delegate issues of money. You can't. You must take personal responsibility. I would actually want to read for you something just that speaks to why the responsibility. I'll tell you what. Obstacles and excuses are what we see when we take our eyes off the goal. When you have financial agenda, but you keep giving yourself excuses, you keep having the wrong people around you who discourage you from taking the first step, you will never be able to achieve that goal. Obstacles and excuses are what we see when we take our eyes off the goal. Second one, you cannot dream yourself to reality. You cannot dream yourself to reality. It doesn't matter how sweet the dream was. The reality is you must take the first step. The other one, nothing great is going to be achieved suddenly. It takes time, focus, and discipline. Nothing great is going to be achieved suddenly. It takes time, focus, and discipline. The other one, because we are all of different walks of life, some people have got more money than others. It is important to take the small steps that help you conquer the bad habit. Take the small steps that help you to conquer the bad habit. And as you go through the financial conversations, it's good to ask yourself one question. What is it going to ultimately cost me if I don't take action now? What is it going to ultimately cost me if I don't take action now? There is no future in the past. Put your best foot forward. When it comes to financial planning, it doesn't matter the mistakes you've made. Can you make today the beginning of your new life? Can you make today the beginning of your new self? I am there to walk the journey with you, ensure that I give the information that you need, ensure that you're upskilled to be able to make the best decision. Remember this, the first decision when it comes to financial planning is the most revolutionary step, is the one that separates the achievers from the failures. I encourage everyone to try and have a detailed session with me, online or physical. And I'm telling you, it's going to be transformation. The information that you're going to learn when you do your budget, we look at where you are in the financial journey and where you ought to be, and what are the things you need to do now to be able to make your path better. You'll be amazed by the level of information that will inspire you to make the next best decision. I think for me, I say a big thank you once again. I'm looking forward to hear from the individuals that feel that it's about time to make this call. Please let them reach out to me. I will be able, for free. It's not going to cost you anything. We'll have that session with you. But one thing I can assure you, it is going to be revolutionary. It's going to help you start making the best decisions going forward. Let us not do hide and seek with money. We can do that at at colleagues level, corporate level. We keep saying that we are not doing it. The suffering is individual. We may say I will not do it communally, as a community, but when the suffering comes, it is individual. So you take your chance, call me, reach out to me, let's have that conversation, and I can tell you it's all not lost. We can still be able to straighten your path and make you to realize the financial agenda that you have ahead of you.
Alfred, thank you for the insights. One more thing, I request that you can explain for us more about ECI investment, what it does, how can. Okay, tell us more about ECI investments before you leave.
Oh, good question. And a number of people get nobody get confused about HISA. We got two organizations which are doing not exactly the same thing, but could be related. I am the lead consultant HISA Africa. There is also a HISA group that does stocks and shares. There's a group that we call HISA that does stocks and shares. For me, I'm in HISA Africa, which is an intermediary of ABSA Life and the old Mutual Life in terms of personal and corporate financial planning. I talk about retirement investment. I talk about wealth management. I talk about emergency funds. I talk about building funds for educated children. I talk about life assurance. I talk about money market. Those are the things that I talk about as HISA Africa, which, as I said again, is an intermediary of two customer-centric organizations, Old Mutual Life and the ABSA Life. Those are the two organizations that I serve as a consultant, and whatever your needs are financially, we will end up getting solutions from either of these two organizations. They have all that we need. But the other side, you also have HISA. The HISA is not mine. I have no interest in HISA. That is another company. Yes. Online. HISA Africa. But then,
Yes. Yes, Alfred. Can you hear me? Don't log out. You are still, it's a bit shaky. I can't really I can't really hear what you are saying because it's a bit it's buffing. So, yeah, thank you for logging in. Hope you have learned a lot from Alfred. Alfred details are still on the screens, and just a minute. A minute. Yeah, that was Alfred. He was trying to find out why uh, we couldn't hear him. And yeah, thank you for logging in. He has explained much about his Africa. He has explained more about investment, how to make sure you don't feel broke on the payday, that your money can sustain you throughout the month. And it's always humbling to have you on board. I've seen so many different people contributing to today's session. We feel humbled. We feel so excited to always have you on board. Thank you, Yvonne, for always being a supportive friend. And yeah, we had more to share. We could have asked more questions, and it was nice having you and listening to Alfred explain different things concerning uh, investment, concerning different things. And for today, we'll just say it's been a good one and we'll say bye. Thank you for, I've seen different people here. Thank you, Evangelist Moses, for logging in and commenting. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Godfrey. Thank you, Okeo. Thank you. We are humbled to have you here, and you can always ask questions. I will just explain a bit about Lafford Teletherapy Counselors. Lafford Teletherapy Counselors, it's an avenue or an organization that deals with online counseling. We offer online counseling to different individuals and corporate. We also offer counseling classes or counseling courses online, and how you are supposed to conduct a counseling session, and how you can get a certification in counseling. There is also a product that we are really pushing into the market that is called performance coaching. Let's say you have a marketing company, that you have different personnels that deals with sales and marketing, and you have realized of lately they are not motivated. You can have a private arrangement with us so that we talk to them. We get to know what is hindering them from achieving their goals, what is hindering them from being effective at their work, and then we can get back to you. And within months, if you don't see a change, then we can redo it again, because performance coaching is just, it's evaluating the performance. The second thing about performance coaching is trying to find out, by doing counseling or one-on-one sessions with the individual or the marketer, just to find out what is happening to them that they can't really give good results privately. And also, if they are having personal issues, we can still talk to them, just to find out how to deal with the issues, and just to give them a platform to share their challenges, and we can get back to you as Lafford Teletherapy Counselors, to give you the feedback and see how to work on them. And also, we always engage employees one on one to find out where are they not uh, giving the right or the much help to the company, or where they no longer productive. Maybe at times this might be issues of family issues, uh, maybe co-worker relations, or anything to do with their personal life that is not going on as they expected. So yeah, that's all about performance coaching. We also do more with online counseling. Online counseling, we have voice calls, we have video calls, we have texts and WhatsApp messaging. And for voice calls, it's just you can we can have voice calls on either Zoom, Google Meet, or WhatsApp. For video calls, we have platforms that we can use. We can use Zoom still. We can use Google Meet. We can use WhatsApp. For text or text, we can still use WhatsApp. And for corporate service, corporate services, we can always have uh, one-on-one sessions. We can also have online bookings for different types of sessions as corporates. And yeah, that's all we had to say today. We also, for Afford Teletherapy Counselors, we also have different platforms, social media platforms we use. We use YouTube, we use Instagram, we use Quora, we use LinkedIn, we use Rumble. So if you enter the name Lafford or you enter Lafford Teletherapy Counselors, you can find us on Rumble, YouTube, LinkedIn. That we also do some posts, some blogs on how to manage your mental health. And one more that I've not mentioned, we have we also have what do we call it? We have books, ebooks that are on Amazon that we have published, talking about mental health, talking about stress and stress management, talking about depression. So you can always check and maybe buy an ebook from us. So yeah, we are trying to build different spaces and different platforms that we can always share information with you and with anyone. You can also uh, tell a friend to tell a friend that needs counseling, a friend that needs a support group to join us so that we can get to help them wherever we can. So I'm also going, for the last time, I'm going to mention those that I've logged in and I've left their messages. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Who again? Thank you, Evangelist Moses. Thank you, Godfrey, for the questions. Also, they're very insightful. And for now, I have to say bye. Till we meet again in the next session, till we discuss more about different things, about current issues, about anything mental health. And guys, don't fail to log in. We will be having Yvonne towards the end of this month. We will have Yvonne as a guest. She will be talking to us about mental health, about a counseling course that she has been doing, and how it has changed her life, how it has changed her view in terms to different things. We'll also have Godfrey. He is a counselor and an educator too. We'll have him on board so that he can discuss different things. We'll also have uh, a cancer survivor that has survived different types of cancer. She has had breast cancer, lung cancer, and I think maybe brain cancer. This is one individual that has had these different cancers, and she's still going on. She's a soldier. She has done so much. She's a teacher by profession, and she's a lovely soul to work with. She's a lovely mate, and yeah, we'll be having her soon. She will be talking to us about different things related to support when you have cancer, and also how to deal with different things in life when you have cancer, and how she has managed to soldier on until now, because she's just a jovial one. So I think for now I'll just say bye. And yeah, you can also contact me. I'm just going to put my numbers on the screen. That's my number. You can always find me on text. You can always find me on WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp lines are very effective. You can always find us on WhatsApp. You can also ask questions privately to laffordteletherapycounsellors at gmail.com. So it's always nice to have you on board. It's always nice to chat with you. It's always nice to just get to listen to you and know how your day is doing, how you are doing. And kindly, if you need counseling, we also have pro bono services for counseling. We can always offer you counseling pro bono services. And one counseling service that we have been offering for free for the longest time is grief and loss. Whenever one is facing grief, they always have to maybe talk to someone to help them heal, or talk to someone so that they find an easy way to maneuver. So we have different counseling services. So never forget to call us, never forget to get in touch with us. Kindly, you can send us private email or private messages on email. We'll get back to you and we'll tell you how we can help you out. Or if we can't help you, we'll refer you to other people that can help you. Also, you can text us on WhatsApp. It's 0786 21 16 16. Kindly feel free to DM us so that we can help you wherever we can, and we can also listen to you. So, yeah, that's all we had for today. I think I've really explained much about Lafort Teletherapy Counselors. And I'm Velin. I'm a counselor or psychotherapist. I'm also an educator. I deal with different things related to mental health, to psychology or counseling, or stress, or uh, depression. We also have marriage counselors that can talk to you about marriage or how to get ready to become get into marriage. So yeah, till next time. Thank you.